Dear Reddit, why are 99% of people not interested in prepping or survival? It's like a fun game. Why are even just people have zero interest, nada, zilch?
Because, surprisingly, the downfall of civilization is not appealing to most sane people, let alone a fun game. Instead, most are interested in preventing such a scenario. While being prepared is a sane thing to be, being obsessed with when SHTF is simply not healthy. I speak for myself when I say that while I do have and train with go bags, I never ever want to need them. Also, most survival related things have been outsourced in society. That's why society exists, so people can work on different things. People's role in keeping society going is usually fulfilled by their job. No wonder they just want to relax and trust the other things will be taken care of when they're free. Where I'm from, prepping better be something you like, because you're going to be doing a lot of work for basically no benefit compared to national services. Things are just too well handled. But generations of this stuff has made us compliant, detached from the foundations of life and wholly unreliable if we ever find ourselves in a survival situation. I've taken it up as a hobby first and foremost. Instead of playing a survival game, I'm prepping, which is actual productive value. Instead of sitting in front of a screen, I'm engaging my whole body. I'm learning to grow food, because I don't trust supermarkets, but I'm going to be entering one every week, because the convenience is just too superb.
I can't argue with that. That's pretty wise.
They think that the system will be there and working for them. They'll always be able to drive to Walmart or Costco and get whatever they want. The idea that the food supply or transportation system will be disrupted is impossible in their eyes. That they can live a carefree life in the city or suburbs and never have to worry about providing their own clean water, food, shelter, medical supplies, soap and hygiene supplies. The government will evacuate them if necessary and give them shelter, money, food and supplies if necessary. So when you talk to them about prepping and survival, all they think is that you are some conspiracy nut job. If something bad could happen, they think that they would hear well in advance from their news source and the government. And that naive trust that they have in corporations and the government trumps anything that you can tell them. Why should they spend their time and money learning to hunt, make soap, wash their clothes by hand, know how to make potable water, find medicinal plants? They have better things to do like watching TV and chatting with their friends on their phones.
Oh, yeah.
It's so hard to break down their trust in the current system. And if they don't see some disaster in their immediate future, then they feel no need to prep. This is from my own experience with my family. When I asked them about moving somewhere safe, about becoming self-sufficient, they first told me that I was crazy. Then they told me that they had no desire to leave their nice house in the suburbs, with their Costco and Whole Foods and Home Depot. They had no desire in having a bug-out kit. To be ready to leave on a moment's notice. They don't see any danger. There's no earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes or meteors falling from the sky. Growing their own food, chickens, greenhouses, having windmills, living in a rural area. They didn't want any of that. They told me it was ridiculous for me to tell them that they needed to do anything to change their lives. They work for local businesses and some work for the government. They feel safe in content. Until the president tells them to flee to the mountains, they will refuse to make any preparations.
I must admit, Reddit, your responses are fantastic. Really tremendous stuff.
For the same reason people don't save for retirement or take proactive health measures like annual screenings or dental care. It requires discipline. There is a learning curve. It can feel overwhelming with all the options and opinions. It can be expensive. Thinking about bad or scary things happening can be uncomfortable for many people. Some people have a blind spot where they think it can't happen to them. A prepper mentality can be sort of viewed as a privilege considering that many people for various reasons are just barely making it through every
Absolutely.
day. Some people struggle with daily tasks because of life events, mental or physical health, housing instability or financial issues. They may literally be unable to devote energy or resources to prepping. And just like some people never learned how to manage money, some people don't even know that there is such a thing as prepping.
I'll finish off this. They don't know there's such a thing as prepping, or they only know about the socially stigmatized version of prepping. That's absolutely true. A lot of people are praying for the Mad Max scenarios, or they expect to be prepping to only be for Mad Max scenarios, but it's not just that, it's for like almost preparing for next Tuesday.
My primary prepping guide is Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower series. One of the biggest lessons, beyond that the biggest advantage in survival is accumulated skills, and not necessarily resources, is that trust is an important resource that needs to be doled out sparingly.
Yeah, accumulated survival knowledge is so powerful. That is more important than having all of the gear. You could have the best gear, but not have good knowledge, and you could have really rubbish bad gear, made from China, whatever you want, and have knowledge, and you're much more better prepared. Absolutely.
That said, there are lots of people who are involved in the prepping lifestyle but don't call it that. My hometown, and several others, have disaster plans that are very common prepper plans, but the folks who plan it would never call themselves preppers.
Absolutely.
Non-prepper, ex-military. Look at the last 100 years. When has prepping actually been necessary for 99% of the people? Never. Non-preppers are betting on that trend continuing. Preppers are betting that it will not. That's it, just a bet, with very high stakes.
Yes, that's true.
Because when SHTF they expect to be taken care of by their elected officials and public agencies. In the event that the institutions have ceased functioning, even in the short term, they expect to either die or come for yours. It's not a nice thing to vocalize, so nobody talks about it, but this is what most people are weighing about the prospect of SHTF if they think about it all. The illusion of normalcy bias. I was in college during 9/11 and the lasting lesson for me was the shattering of the illusion that I can just do my thing, live my life, and there's other people that ensure the safety nets that keep me from having to think about contingencies and responses. Dudes with box cutters and planning sidestepped billions in defense spending and manpower, and in the days after we were being told infrastructure and thing doof the like could be attacked. While those following attacks didn't happen, the government basically was saying we can't cover it all and it could happen. To this day there are threats that could drastically alter lives: terrorism, political strife, CMEs, earthquakes, financial collapse, pandemics. If anything, the threats are more clear and present in many respects. I feel that after the events of 2020-2021 weren't enough to push someone to at least change a few habits towards being more prepared, than those unfazed never will. While it wasn't Captain Trips, the stand, it was a perfect wake-up call and practice run for prepping. I don't entirely blame those still unstirred. The framing of prepping traditionally over the last 50 years has been because one is paranoid. Rather, it should be framed as a responsible measure to be able to sustain oneself and family if the worst is to occur. A self-imposed insurance policy. No one calls State Farm or Allstate a fear-mongering paranoid delusion business.
Weeks it's somehow woo-woo. I think the prepping community needs to reframe the zeitgeist behind prepping as a grown-up adult thing to do, so that you're in a position to help others in a crisis. Because you're not busy scratching it out for survival, you have time to help others weather the challenges. Be that your plan or not, it would be far more palatable to the normie masses.
Well, thanks Reddit, that's my favourite answer so far. Okay, well that's pretty much it. Oh, still got some comments coming in, let's just check them out. Ditto. And this one. Anyone wants to go and read this in full, I'll leave the link and you can go and listen to or watch Reddit here. Right, let's just play this one.
I live in Korea and I believe most are not interested in any of these. They only say we have to prepare this and that only when something happens globally or in my country. They do have money. They love money. But all they want to spend on is expensive cars, expensive watches, expensive clothes, $100s for a shirt, luxury goods, hotels, goes to a hotel once a week or less often, travels, stock, coins, or eating out at expensive restaurants, cafes. All they think about is eating and all they watch on TV about is eating. Most may not want to spend a cent on prepping, and I saw some people saying that no one can touch us BC, we have the US backing us up. Just stupid. They trust the government and the states, and think nothing ahead is dangerous or something.
This is such a good thread, Reddit. Thanks for bringing your community. Pleasure, an absolute pleasure. Okay, cool. Well, thank you, my friends on YouTube. That was my first conversation with the Reddit community. I hope that was interesting, a bit of a change. Not artificial intelligence at all, these answers. These are all human beings. Thanks for every human being that's been answered here. Feel free to write your name and timestamp if it was your answer. And yeah, leave a link. See you later on the Nikos Show.